One of the things that we're regularly asked about with working in primary care behavioral health is how do you work with someone that's been through life hardships, maybe potential trauma, and also provide interventions that are going to promote what we call radical change. One of the best exercises or interventions I think that we've been able to utilize is called the movie metaphor, which is an experiential exercise for a patient that walks them through, that prompts them to take perspective of their past life hardships, encourages a sense of self-compassion and grace, and then also allows them to decide and think about the next steps that they want to move towards. So we wanted to take some time to talk about what the movie metaphor is, who you can use it for, how to use it, show you the exercise itself, and then also give a little wrap up at the end. So I really hope you enjoy the video. So the movie exercise is, I think, a really cool experiential exercise to do with patients. It's something that really prompts the patient to be able to look back on some of their life hardships and difficulties. And what it does is allow the patient to think about their life as a movie. A lot of times patients have a difficult time recognizing their own struggles, whether it be maybe a friend or, in our case, a movie character. It's easy to actually see, it's been a little bit tough for that character. It's been a little bit hard. But if the patient thinks about it themselves, they're like, oh no, I haven't actually been through that much hardship. So allowing them to see their movie play out and see their character gives some separation from themselves and actually allows them to take perspective of the difficulties that have arisen throughout their life. The other thing that it does is it allows you as the provider to prompt them about what the people in the movie theater would actually feel for their character. Again, when patients typically are talking about friends or family members, oftentimes compassion and grace come very quickly and easily for them to show to their family members or friends. But when it comes to ourselves, or the patient, when it comes to themselves, showing themselves grace and compassion is a very foreign concept. So thinking about it as far as a movie character, what the patient as themselves would be feeling for their movie character playing out, a lot of times that self-compassion, that grace, that love is a little bit easier shown. It's easily shown to themselves. They're able to talk about it more freely and be open to the idea of maybe giving your character a break and understanding why the character has done some behaviors that we would think back and wish we wouldn't have done. The other thing that allows the patient to do is think about next steps. When we talk about what would you like the next movie scene to be, it allows the patient to think, I have some control over this. While these movie scenes have already been done and they've been difficult, these next scenes have yet to be written. In a way, they get to be the director, they get to be the main character, they get to be the producer of the movie, and they get to decide where they want to go and who they want to be in their next movie scene as well. So it can be a pretty powerful exercise on multiple different levels. The movie exercise, I think, has really three components of what we're trying to get at or accomplish through the exercise. The first one, and the most obvious one, is we're trying to allow the patient to gain perspective, to be able to see their life and take a step back and recognize the things that they have gone through and the hardships that have been there. Oftentimes, again, patients, for whatever reason, it's a difficult thing to take that objective stance in the perspective. The second thing that we really want to be able to promote is this idea that they have control over the next movie scene. While these past scenes have been done, while the past movie has happened, that doesn't necessarily define what the next movie scene needs to be. They themselves, as the main character, as the director, as the producer of the movie, get to actually decide that. The last thing that we really try to promote, and it's done directly but also subtly just throughout the exercise, is to build this sense of self-compassion, is to build this sense of self-grace. You know, as human beings, we're really good at showing compassion and grace to people that we love, family members and friends. But when it comes to ourselves, it's a little difficult of a process to do. So the movie exercise actually prompts the patient to think about how they would feel for their character, what response they have for them. And then as that next movie scene comes out, actually ask them, how would you actually show your character being love, or show your character being grace? And that subtly allows not only future direction and some SMART goals and different behavior activation things to happen, but it also allows the person to do so with a sense of kindness and compassion as they go into that next scene.
You know,
Rich, I really appreciate you just sharing everything that you did, and I can't imagine how tough it had to be to talk about that right now, and it's, again, really impressive to see. I was wondering if we could maybe do a little exercise real quick, if you would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder if you and I, we could imagine that you and I went to a movie together. Okay, so maybe we get to the movie, we go in, we buy tickets, and we go up to the concession stand, maybe we get some popcorn or some other goodies or whatever we would want. We make our way into the movie theater, and there's other people in the audience, but it's not crowded, and we actually get a pretty good seat, like right in the middle, a prime location. And as the previews start, we're kind of talking back and forth. It's like, oh, that movie's going to be good, that one's going to suck, that's not going to be any good. And then the movie starts. And as the movie starts, what we see play out in the movie theater is actually your life playing out.
Okay.
From the time that you were young up until the moment that we're sitting here talking right now. And everybody in the audience, you and I and everybody in the audience can see this. And while the movie spans the entire lifetime, maybe it's focused on the things that you just talked about, the recent hardships, and also the ones that happened when you were younger, the hardships.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have two questions. If you could, again, as you're imagining us sitting in the movie theater watching your life play out. The first question is, what do you think the response or the reaction, and maybe the emotional reaction, that everybody in the audience, you, myself, the other audience members, what would we feel for your character? What response would we have?
Sad. We probably feel sorry for my character.
And how so? How do you think we would feel sorry for your character?
I think everyone would just kind of feel like compassion.
For your character?
Yeah.
Is that because we would be able to see why it's been so hard?
Well, like all the things I just said, all the bad stuff that I went through, and then I didn't even realize how many bad things I guess I just recently went through. If it was a friend, if that was a friend, my friends always tell me that. They're like, they always say how brave I am to go through what I go through, and I never really see it that way. But like when you said about the character, I think of like,
yeah, as you said, it was that compassion, was that sadness.
Yeah,
again,
I felt sad for my character.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I think that's what everybody in the audience would be feeling, is that sense of compassion for yourself.
Yeah, it's still, it's way easier to have. It's weird.
Absolutely.
It's way easier to have compassion for my character, and like I feel sad for my character, but like when I think about me, I feel like I should just be able to deal with it.
Absolutely. And I want to come back to that. That's exactly
weird.
The thing that I want to come back to. Now, the second question I had was, what do you think you and I, maybe we wouldn't scream it out because we wouldn't want to disrupt everybody in the movie theater, but maybe we would be saying it internally. What do you think we would be yelling for your character to do next? What do you think we would be really wanting the next scene to be in that movie?
I think that we would see that she's not so hard on herself, and that she goes back to school. Like,
oh, that gets me excited.
Yeah.
What would you go back to school for?
Well, she's always wanted to be a nurse. She's always wanted to help. I've always wanted to help people.
Okay.
And there was just like I didn't get, because of how things went, like I never got a chance. I had my kid when I was 16, so I didn't really get to finish things on time, and then it just was never really the right time.
Right.
And I didn't feel like I could ever do it, and like, but I don't know, I think.
So the next scene.
Yeah, the next scene would be probably like having some actual compassion.
And as you said, potentially going to school.
And going back to school.
So, in the compassion thing, and I like that, and the thing that you said earlier before I asked that second question is that, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's like, yeah, if this was a friend, or if when I look at my movie character, I have compassion.
Yeah.
But when it turns to us,
no.
Not so much.
No. I feel like I kind of even get mad at myself, like, well, I shouldn't even got pregnant when I was 16.
Yeah. And again, if we would think back to your character, watching that movie play out.
Well, then it makes sense, because she didn't, what did she know?
Yeah.
And this is the thing that's interesting about compassion. In the abstract, of course, it makes sense. It sounds great to like love ourselves, to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah, everyone, all my friends, everyone always says like, I need to just love myself more. I don't.
It's like, well, thanks, buddy. Like, I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of that. So the one way that I like to look at compassion and kindness, and similar to the things that we were feeling for your character up there, is to maybe try to do activities or behaviors that would show that you're being compassionate. Because as you said, just trying to tell your mind, be compassionate to yourself or love yourself, it's not like a switch to turn on.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If there was a behavior or an activity or something that you would do that would demonstrate that you're being compassionate toward yourself or you're being kind toward yourself or loving yourself, what would it be?
Well, like I said, I think I'd be nicer to myself. I wouldn't.
And what would that look like on the movie screen? If we saw your character being nicer to herself, what would she be doing?
She'd probably be walking. She'd probably not eat so much fast food, and she'd probably enroll in school.
So the walking.
Yeah.
That would be a way of showing.
Yeah, I need to walk. I need to get healthier. I have my daughter.
Okay.
You know, if the movie kept going on, like, my daughter's going to grow up and she needs
you there.
Yeah. And I want to be there too.
So let me ask you this: if we were to set kind of like a realistic goal, like a feasible, because again, you're busy, as you said, you got a lot of things on your plate right now. If we were to set a goal regarding walking, what would be realistic?
I think I can do it 2 times. Oh, okay.
2 times?
Yeah, because my daughter has basketball practice.
Okay.
Twice a week, and a lot of times moms walk in the gym.
Okay.
And so I just need to either stay or come early.
Okay.
At the practice, and I can walk around.
So it seems like you have a time. Now, would you walk by yourself, or would you walk with the other moms?
Well, I have a friend. I have another mom.
Perfect.
That I talk to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to do something really corny before you go. Yeah. And I'm already kind of setting it up that way, that this is going to be a little bit corny. Okay. I wonder, and it sounds like you're pretty confident that the walking at the basketball thing could be.
Yeah, I can do it.
So I wonder, maybe before you get out of the car to enter the gym, because do you drive there? Do you drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if there could be a moment of pausing before you get out of the car, before you walk into the basketball gym. And this is going to be the corny part. I'd like to suggest to do something that shows that you are doing this activity to demonstrate that compassion that we felt for your movie theater.
Okay.
So the thing that I'd like to suggest is that before you get out of the car, to maybe tap yourself in the chest and either say out loud or internally, I'm doing this for me. This is my way of showing compassion towards my character. This is my way of showing kindness. So it's not just to complete the walking activity. It's not just to do that just for the heck of it. So
tap my chest.
Yeah. So tap your chest.
So that's saying that I'm going to go walk to take care of myself, not just.
It's just not for the heck of it.
Crossing off the to-do list.
Exactly. This is this moment of, again, developing compassion, just like we felt for your character in that movie.
Well, that's a lot easier than feeling like I love myself, because sometimes I really just don't like myself.
Exactly. And a lot of times, even when that shows up, having that moment of tapping yourself, and just like we would for your character up there, to say that you're with yourself right now. That there's still kindness.
I can definitely see myself being with my character.
Yeah. So I wonder if we could set that goal of doing twice a week walking, as we said, before you go walking, to have that tap on the chest.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think would be good to maybe check back in on this goal? When do you think it would be helpful?
Well, I'm going to be really busy because there's tournaments and stuff coming up, and with work. But I don't want probably like 3 weeks, because I don't want to go too long.
Okay.
Because I know how I am.
I think 3 weeks would be great to check in on that. That gives us enough time to see how the goal went and to go from there. Yeah. So I'm going to write this down to keep track of the goal, and then let's follow back up in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
I hope the video was helpful to be able to show how to potentially demonstrate and work with a patient using the movie exercise. You know, you might be asking yourself, who would I use this for? In what cases would I kind of pull this out as a tool? And the one thing that I would say is that I think it's a flexible answer. I think there's some people that absolutely could be used for specifically, and that would be people unquestionably that have had difficult hardships, potentially trauma, abuse, adverse childhood experiences, things that have really shaped and programmed them to see the world in a certain way. I think this could be a very powerful exercise because, again, it allows the patient to take perspective that life has been difficult. There's reasons that they behaved in a certain way. It wasn't them just doing things for no reason. The other thing that I think that you could potentially use it for is if you pick up that the patient is really hard on themselves. And those two things might go hand in hand. It might go hand in hand, someone that's been through a lot of hardships and trauma, that they might be really hard on themselves, because that usually is a byproduct. But even if a patient is just, in general, just hard on themselves, I think this is a nice exercise to do that promotes perspective, but also promotes a sense of compassion and grace, which really can ripple out to allow the patient to do some pretty awesome things. The other thing I would say, it can be very intimidating to try out these experiential exercises. When you watch them on the video, I mean, this is a role-played patient that we know that we're going to try to do the movie exercise, so it works pretty well. It can be intimidating when it's actually in real life. So the thing that I would also say is show yourself grace, show yourself compassion, that sometimes when you do the exercise, it might not go the way that you want to. And what's really neat is that what I've found is some of the best metaphors have been built out of failures. Because after maybe something didn't work or didn't click with the patient, to be able to go back and think, why didn't it work? What didn't click with that patient? Could I phrase something a different way? So even though you might try this out maybe once or twice and it might not go the way that you wanted to, it might not go the way that it did with Bridget and I in the video, it's still something to keep coming back to and keep trying to evolve. And we would love to hear your evolutions of the movie exercise. So please reach out to us if you come up with different ways of framing it, different things that have worked well, that didn't work well, so we can learn from each other. And again, be persistent, keep trying, even if it doesn't go the way you want to. And as I said, be gracious toward yourself, show yourself a sense of compassion, but definitely continue to try.